Alright, everybody. What's going on? Morj is the worst father. I mean, yeah, I don't even. Didn't know I'm supposed to have a kid. You guys just tell me that I do. Silver Bum. Wait, Silver Bum? Silver Bum says we gonna get gaslit. No, no gaslighting. No gaslighting today. Um, yeah, I think I just realized I I think it's just better to be honest. I was late because I was helping an old lady cross the street for the fifth time. So it feels good to just tell the truth, you know? It feels good to just be upfront and straightforward. Mork, slow and old. Morj, give us a rant. No, guys, we have an agenda for the stream today, and it's a very important one. Alright, so as we all know, today is Father's Day, which is why we are going to be looking through the best dads of One Piece. Alright? Wait one sec. I think I'm behind one super real quick. Let's check what I'm missing. So, yeah, I figured that today would just be a good, well-timed, Hallmark holiday sort of a day to, yeah, to just take a look through, some of the best and worst dads of One Piece. More worse than best because that's just, that's just the way One Piece is. Not too many great dads. Strad Chaco said, I know it ain't anime or manga, but I want to ask, have you watched Arcane? Oh my god, I thought we were done with Arcane questions. Here was the plan. Well, let me finish this question. If so, what did you think? I didn't see it. I have no thoughts. Also, worst dad has to be guy from Wano who sold his fam. That guy? Oh, was his name like Oingo Boingo something? I forget. That guy was, yeah. I don't know if he makes the tier list, but, it's, it's, um, it's definitely in the running. Like, if we count all the fathers, like all the random ass fathers, like, I'm sure there's some really bad ones, like side characters or something like that, if we really think about it. Let's talk about the main characters. Yeah, I think that what is it? The Arcane TV show. I know it's really good. I said once upon a time that if enough people bother me to watch it, I will eventually watch it. But then I kind of was able to kind of weather the storm and just wait it out. And then eventually enough people forgot about Arcane. So then they stopped talking about it. But here you are, Strad Chaco, bringing it up again. And I have to address Arcane again. No, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. Kid Clip 2K says that haircut ain't it, Morj? I think it's a good haircut. I like this haircut. Morj S tier worst dad since he abandoned Morj Jr. The what do you call the reality is I would never name my kid Morj Jr. If I had a kid, um, what would I realistically name him? What would I realistically name them? So if it was a boy, if it was a girl, that's too hard. That's too much thought. It's like, first of all, would I name them an Indian name or like an American name? That's its own like discussion. I don't know. It's like it's its own whole discussion. Francesco Akinfora says, "How's your tendon, Morge?" My Achilles tendon, mainly in my left ankle. It's fine. It's like it's fine. Like it just takes it's not something that's gonna heal immediately. This is something I've had for over a year, so it's slowly getting better. But it's not like oh, I'm gonna show up one week and be like my Achilles is totally fine. That's just not the way it works. All right. Buster says Kaido better be an S. Are we talking about for worst tier dads or best dads? I don't know. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at this tier list that we got. Oh, Tala Jahan, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 4 months. Heading out the country, no internet, okay, for a while. All right. Although Oda plays it fluid with where Zoro is between Sanji and Luffy, when it gets serious, it's Luffy greater than. Yeah. Um. I mean, at the end of any arc, it's well, it I don't know. It depends. It's just like okay, you know what's funny? Kilometers, Matt. Thanks for the big donation, but you forgot to type your comment. You shouldn't have to donate again. So just comment whatever, and we'll all try and catch it. All right. Thanks, Kilometers, Matt. Appreciate it. JU says do another AI stream, but with Chad GBT Mork. I was thinking about doing that. Yeah, I might do one with Chad GBT. You know what? You know what? Let me make a quick note of that. That we'll definitely do that coming up. See, the thing is that I was like, do we do another AI stream or is it already played out? Because we did it once, but at the same time, ChatGPT, for those of you who don't know, is like way more advanced than whatever we used before. So it's like it wouldn't be the same thing. It'd be something much more interesting. So you know what? That's all I really needed. Suggestion to do ChatGPT. That's all the encouragement I need. I think we'll roll with it. Riri says Locke's daughter in dungeon for years. Not a bad dad. I mean, yeah. A lot of people give him props for calling Yamato a boy when she wanted to be called a boy. So, you know, you can weigh these things side by side, whatever you value more. Alright. Oh, shit. Man. Hazard and Gibson says off topic, but a good Araki versus Oda topic came up last stream, but I wasn't around. Can I ask a question? Why would you use the super to ask if you can ask a question? Just ask the question. All right. Yeah. What's Kilometers Matt's comment? What is it? Tala Jahan asked, how's Sekiro going? I beat Sekiro a good while back. I think a few weeks back now. 2-3 weeks back? What day is it today? Let me see. What was I doing? Okay, so last weekend, I think like 2 weekends back. Not this weekend, not the weekend before. I guess 3 weekends back I beat Sekiro. So it's been a little bit. I really liked Sekiro. Attilia says, guys, I'm going to go eat BRB, Morj or the Reverie Rumble. Okay, let me be upfront about the Reverie Rumble. So I showed up to the Reverie Rumble. First of all, let's get the stream likes to 100. All right, let's get the stream likes to 100. Once we get there, we can, what do you call? Get to whatever. Yeah, the Reverie Rumble, I showed up to that, and I don't have a working Switch, so I already told, like, I wasn't in the bracket or anything like that, so it's not like, first of all, it's not like I ruined Roger's bracket by coming in and leaving. I wasn't in the bracket in the first place. I said I'll drop in to just talk and commentate. I dropped in. It's a large group chat of a bunch of people, basically, so it's kind of like we're all commentating over a match. I was like, all right, they all seem good. They seem like they got it. I can probably go get food. Basically, as soon as I saw the setup, at first I was like, okay, if Roger needs people to talk during this, I'll be there. But as soon as I saw the setup, which is that there's a bunch of people. For those of you who don't know, Rogers Base hosted a Smash Ultimate tournament between some One Piece YouTubers this last Sunday, so yesterday, right? I joined in, realized after a bit that he's got enough people commentating because everyone that wasn't playing was commentating. So then I was like, okay, I'm probably good to just go get food because that's what I wanted to do. And then I just met up with some people to eat food, as you do. And then I just ended up doing stuff for the rest of the day. So the Reverie Rumble just went straight out of my mind. As soon as I realized that, okay, it doesn't really matter because everybody's already here. Like, there's a dozen people in this chat already talking. It doesn't matter. So I think that's okay. And I'm gonna be honest, Smash Ultimate, it's kind of boring to commentate over. Like, it's not Melee exactly. So after a little bit, I was just like, what am I gonna do? Talk about, I don't know, Ultimate for 3 hours? This doesn't seem very fun. Bard King Zoro, thanks, I appreciate it. Hazard and Gibson says, if you could write like a mangaka, what ability could you think to create a weird scene like in One Piece / JoJo? Example, walking on rain / riding a bike in the ocean. What ability could you think to create a weird scene? So you're asking what ability I would create or what weird scene you would have? That's something you gotta think on, right? if it's like stands, he thinks of some really, really wacky, bizarre stands. If it's just like a general scene, again, that's something that you got to think on. So sorry, that's not a fun answer, but that's just something like, you're asking me to be, I don't know, like thinking up of like creative story ideas on the spot. Flame Emperor says, Morj conquered Sekiro before he conquered the Wana video. Yeah, Sekiro was a lot of fun. I think I like, I was thinking basically, because Sekiro I thought was not, it was really hard for me and I probably took longer to beat it than the average person. But by the end of it, I was like, here's two things I realized about Sekiro at the end of it, right? So, as I'm finishing it, I'm going to see, like, I'm watching videos and stuff because I really, really love the game. The game is so much fun. The combat is really fun. So I'm watching, like, other people, their videos on fighting characters or fighting bosses and stuff like that. And just, like, reviewing other people and stuff like that. And I realized, like, yeah, it was really hard for me, but most other people cheat while they're playing. Not cheat, but, like, okay. The point of Sekiro is that you're supposed to be able to, like, play just sword-to-sword combat. And you're supposed to get really good at that. A lot of people use random bullshit, like, fireworks and shit like that. Like, you can attach firecrackers that make fights way easier. A lot of people use lots of really weird, cheesy strategies to get by bosses and stuff. So I was just like, okay, I didn't realize that. I'm like, why are these people even playing? What's the point of playing a hard game if you just want to cheese your way through it? Why not just pick up an easier game then? So I felt, I don't know, now I feel more confident picking up, like, something like, I don't know, like a Dark Souls or an Elden Ring or something like that, because at the end of it, it was really challenging, but given enough time, you overcome each challenge, and so now I'm just like, well, I want another game like that. So, The Tatsumaki says, Morj loves hating in general. I just said I loved Sekiro. Wait, what did I say? Caleb Brown says, Morj loves hating on Ultimate. No. Ultimate's a good game. I think Ultimate's a good... Sorry. I legitimately... Okay. Let me backtrack real quick. I like watching Ultimate... I do actually watch Ultimate sometimes if there's like Melee Ultimate in the same bracket or something, like same tournament or something like that. I'll watch Ultimate and like, I support certain Ultimate players. I think Ultimate can be hyped to watch. The thing is, that came out wrong, okay? Because I think Ultimate's a good game. I definitely think it's a good game. It's more so what I meant, like, okay, I'm gonna get bored watching Ultimate. It's because I guess low level Ultimate, which is what we are watching, I just don't think it's fun to watch. Like, it's just not a game that I think is that fun to watch when players are like just normal average players. Does that make sense? I just don't think it is, because I like, Melee is a very dynamic game. I feel like there's a lot more that you can do with individual characters, and there's just a lot more tech, a lot more makeshift combos and things like that can happen that are on the fly, improvised. So I feel like even at a lower level, you can watch two average or like, above average Melee players play, and like, it's fun to watch and commentate. For me, watching two average level Ultimate players just play, it's not that fun. I don't feel like there's that much to it, especially because there's no real storylines or anything like that, right? Like, these are just random YouTubers, don't know each other, we're just playing each other. There's just not much to it. There's not much to talk about, in my opinion. That's just it. Like, if I'm watching MKLeo versus Spargo, of course that's exciting. I consider that exciting. There's, like, a lot of matchup. I mean, yeah, a lot of history behind these two players, really good storylines and stuff like that. I would say this. I'd say Ultimate has better storylines to watch than Melee at the moment. So, in some ways, I'm more excited for the Ultimate section of tournaments than Melee. I haven't really been keeping up with either of them that much, but, like, if I'm tuning in, I do find Ultimate hype to watch, as a tournament game on Twitch when it's, in certain contexts. Stabilio says, have you played High on Life? No. Jacob Busky says, Morj gatekeeping. No. Noobish Wizard says you're probably watching speedruns at Morj lol. No. Speedruns is obviously totally different. What I'm saying is, like, I would watch videos like, I would go back and watch videos of people being like, here's how you can beat this, this boss or something like that. Like, boss guide type things, basically. And then, like, they'd do firecrackers and stuff. And you'd see throughout the comments, yeah, like, people saying that, yeah, they use firecrackers. Or I'd go and see, like, on the Sekiro subreddit or stuff like that. Like, oh, what did you think of this boss and this boss? And some people would be like, oh, that boss is easy. Like, the Corrupted Monk's not so bad if you just use firecrackers. And I'm just like, well, yeah, fucking... why would you use fire? What's the point of that? That's... I don't have the firecracker prosthetic in my version of Sekiro. Like, I never picked it up. I just I just use the sword like you're supposed to. That's the fun of the game. How can you feel like you beat Ishin if you used firecrackers, right? Isn't the fun of fighting Ishin that you're fighting, weapon to weapon, even though he cheats and uses a gun? Minor spoilers. Isn't that just the point? Sweet Baby Jeb says you're a shinobi, not a samurai. You're supposed to use the whole bag of tricks to win. All right, found the dude that used firecrackers. All right, look. Yes, you are technically a shinobi. You're technically a shinobi, but the fun of the game is the sword combat. The reason they included stuff and shifted it from samurai to shinobi is two reasons. Because that way they could make the stealth a more integrated part of the game, because stealth wouldn't make as much sense if you're a samurai, right? So stealth and travel, it works better by reconfiguring who you are and like reclassifying as like, okay, you're a shinobi, even though like 95% of the game you're playing more like a samurai, right? And then you get the prosthetics bullshit, because an honorable samurai would never use that stuff, but it's like, well, some players, they need to firecracker their way to victory and use umbrellas. I'm just like, why do people use like, isn't the whole like you're supposed to deflect and shit, and then umbrellas just do the deflecting for you? I don't get it. Stabilia says, oh no, we covered this. Kilometers Matt says, you're one of my inspirations. Please mutual me. Okay, that's no, I don't do that, but thank you, I appreciate it. Brandon King says this game is open for interpretation. You can beat the bosses any way you want. Obviously, you're allowed to beat the bosses any way you want. I'm just like, why are you even playing the game then, though? Like, what's the point of playing a game that's all about sword combat and getting good at a certain style of sword combat and getting the feel of, like, sword clashing against sword? Like, that's the entire point of Sekiro. If you just want to play Fireworks Simulator, what's the point? What's the point? Just play a different game then. All right, Uninspired says, is low-level melee play better than Ultimate? I don't even know what that means. Like, more fun to watch? I don't know. Again, I'd say that, like, Ultimate is probably more fun to watch right now than Melee at the top level, because I think the storylines are better. So it's like, is low-level Melee play better than Ultimate? I don't know what that means. Like, what do you mean? All right, move on to the tier list. Let's do it. Oh, yeah, I was supposed to be looking it up. Ali H, thanks for being a member for Yonko tier member for 3 months. It's Morj time. Yo Morj, would you consider doing Kingdom arc reviews as you're reading like Totally Not Mark's One Piece series? Also, please do a 1074 review. I will do a 1074 review. Yeah. Kingdom arc review. That's an interesting idea. I hadn't thought about that. I'm gonna put that into like a quick note just in case that's something that could be a good idea for Manga Morj. Caleb Brown says, if you like sword combat so much, why are you playing video games about sword when you could just go fight monsters with a sword yourself? That's true. Good point. Good point. Good point. You got me there. Why do people always ask me if I've seen RRR? No, I haven't seen RRR. Just because I'm Indian, I haven't seen RRR. Tala Jahan says, stream Elden Ring. Okay, I'm not going to lie. Elden Ring seems much more intimidating to me because I'm scared of, like, it just seems so complicated in terms of, I like the idea of Sekiro because it's a game that you can only really do one thing. You know what I mean? Like, it keeps you on a fairly direct track. You don't have to branch too much in terms of, you get skill points and stuff, which you can kind of put into stuff that's somewhat useful, but again, you can beat the full game without the prosthetics and stuff like that for the most part. Obviously, you need them for a few things, but yeah, you just, it's mostly about, you're funneled to the next mini boss, then boss. It's hard, but eventually you get good enough and you beat it, right? Elden Ring seems very intimidating to me because I'm just like, fuck, like, how am I supposed to know? You have to put time into stats and, like, leveling certain stats. I'm like, how am I supposed to know what to level? How am I supposed to know what the good weapons are? How am I supposed to know what level I'm supposed to be when I'm fighting a boss or something like that? It just seems like really, really difficult. Like, I don't know. It seems very intimidating to me, but I want to try it. Try that or Dark Souls or something like that just to see. To me, I feel like that's going to be really, really difficult. Yeah, I just don't get it. I'm like, so the bosses in Elden Ring, and Dark Souls and those types of games, I know they're really, really difficult. So then when you run into one, how are you supposed to know when you're at the right level that you should be able to beat them versus you're supposed to go grind something else? And then how do you know what stats you're supposed to be putting your efforts into and stuff like that? I did like some quick Reddit searches of like, oh, should I like you're supposed to how do you know what the right build is? And then people say stupid shit like, oh, you kind of just do whatever you want, man. You can the game is beautiful because you can level whatever you want and make it your own thing. I'm like, that's not what I want to hear. I want someone to tell me what to do. I don't want to put all my efforts into something like, I don't know, like charm, and then I find out that I can't kill anything with charm. You know what I mean? Like, isn't that a problem? Ender Ayanami says trial and error. Yeah, but like, to me, there's a difference between trial and error. Like, again, I don't have a lot of benchmarks for things, right? So I'm going to keep referencing Sekiro because that's what I played. To me, trial and error in that is like, okay, I'm playing against a boss, try something that doesn't work. Over time, you learn its patterns through a lot of trial and error, and then eventually you win, right? To me, that's my mentality of, okay, I like that sort of trial and error. Trial and error where it's like, okay, if I'm losing the boss over and over, but then I'm supposed to also learn its patterns, but then also like learn if I leveled the right thing or not, or have the right weapon or not, and then go search for a new weapon, and then go level a certain stat, and then that doesn't work. I don't know. It just seems very, very intimidating. I don't know. Seems very intimidating. Right? MPA Slick says, like I said earlier, the open world concept doesn't fare well with the Soulsborne gameplay. But I'm saying, like, even if I played, like, just Dark Souls or something like that, and it's linear, what do I like, how do I know? Okay, RC Warren says, stop talking about games. Yeah, we can stop talking about games. Let's go. Dead Soon says, man is scared of freedom, #1 Luffy antagonist. That's the last thing I'll talk about in games. Yeah, I think that there's a difference between, like, you know, what you want in the story versus, you know, in a game. And it's partly I just haven't played that many single-player video games, so I've just, you know, the idea of a really big open world is still intimidating versus if I just started playing it, maybe I like it a lot more, you know? Okay, it's kind of like One Piece is 1,000 chapters, so some people are like, that seems too long for me, but then they started, they're like, oh, you know what, I really liked it. Okay, are we going to do this as best dads or worst dads? I feel like... yeah, we got to do best dads, right? So, let me screen share. Let me screen share for y'all. Hold on. So, this is what we're working with. And, I don't know who some of these characters are. I don't know who Barrels is. I don't know who Chichili's is. I don't know why some of these characters... Who's Moyle? Has anyone ever heard of Moyle? Does anyone know who Moyle is? Loud Waffle says, Elden Ring and Souls, you can focus on the stats of your starting class. How do I pick a starting class? Bloodborne might be closer to Sekiro for you, though. Yeah, I looked at Bloodborne. I heard that it's, like, the best of all of those games. At least a lot of people feel that way. And, it's only on PS5. So all I have is a PC. Talha Jahan says, Elden Ring world progression is very intuitive because of how the map is laid out and visually designed. Have faith in yourself. I know idiots who beat it. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. X Drake's dad? Oh, that's X Drake's dad? All right. I'm just going to... All right, let's just move some of these guys towards the bottom so that we don't have to think about them, right? Yeah, let's just not think about some of these characters. Let's stick to characters that we definitely know. Who is this? Who is this? All right, I don't know some of these characters off the top. Like, some of them seem familiar. Like, who's Lasky? Who's QG? Who's... Wait, I know Milo. That's from Dressrosa. No, we're sticking to characters that we all know. All right? No one cares about Milo. No one cares about QG. No one cares about Lasky. Oron must be... Is this... Sabo's dad? Hold on. One Piece. Oran. The maternal uncle. Who? What? Dude, am I crazy? Oh wait, yeah. Duh, this is like an important part of Robin's backstory. I forgot the people, like her adopted, or not her adopted, like parents that were taking care of her initially. But we're gonna move them away. Outlook 3 is that Okay, makes sense. Sabo, but not interested. Yeah, we're gonna stick to main characters here. Main characters, main notable characters, right? Sukiyaki, Fisher Tiger, Tom, stuff like that. Toto, Yasop, Zeph, Kuma. Yeah, I think everybody here just doesn't count. Let's just say doesn't count and move them all. All right. Kawamatsu's a dad? How's Kawamatsu a dad? Are they saying he's like Hiyori's dad? Nah. Kawamatsu doesn't count. He watched her for like not that long from what I remember. I don't think he counts as a dad. Do they have Denjiro? Denjiro makes more sense as her dad. You know what I mean? Denjiro raised her for most of her life. Okay, yeah. So that's from Robin's backstory. So they don't have Denjiro, but they had Kawamatsu. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. I think let's roll with this. All right. I like this setup. Kawamatsu took care of her for 7 years? That's quite a bit. Oh, Phantom Greyfire saying here's a little key. It seems like biological fathers have their names in black, and then adoptive fathers have their names in blue. That's a good distinction, but we're not going to make that distinction, all right? Whitebeard is a father just as much as, Shanks is a father, all right? We don't make that distinction here. How Jr. says, part of fun is finding out, and in Elden Ring you can almost always change the stats you leveled since early, but overall level your HP and 1 or 2 offensive stats. Oh, okay, that's good to know. Okay, that's what people mean by... So I can just juggle it around? Doesn't that make it so easy? That's awesome. Okay, that's great. So I can just be like, I want to change my magic stats to power stats, and I'll be good, right? That makes it easy. If I can do that, I'll be happy. I'm going to load up on HP. I know that for sure. Give me as much HP as I can get. All right, Oren. It's just... Yeah, I just don't feel like it. Like, let's stick to cool characters, all right? Oren doesn't make the cut. All right. I think that this is a good list. Eugene Tan says Weevil's dad technically. Is he, though? I don't know where I fall in the clone debate on that. I don't think that makes you a dad. That's not me. I don't think that's... Yeah, I'm good with... I think there's a difference between adoption and cloning. Sanguine says, why doesn't Sabo's dad count? It's just... Okay, fine. We can throw in Sabo's dad. Fine. We can keep Sabo's dad, and you know what? He can be the very first in D tier. Although... Is he in D tier? Because was he a bad dad? Was he plotting to kill Sabo? I forget. No, there was something... There's some problem... He was going to do something really bad, right? Right? Someone remind me what Sabo's dad was going to do. Because he was a good dad to Stelly. Yeah, who's to say Weevil isn't his real biological son? Maybe, but like, it's up in the air at the moment, right? We wait and we see. No, I need the context. Don't make me look up the One Piece wiki. What was Sabo's dad gonna do to him? Viprianisa E1 says make a tier below D and call it judge tier. The thing is, how do we evaluate dads that are like really good to the majority of their kids and then just really mean to one kid? Because you could argue that Judge was 80% a good dad. Because he was nice to Ichiji, Niji, Yonji, and Reiju. He was only mean to Sanji, right? So you could argue even if you give him 0 points for Sanji, he's 80% a good dad, right? Or is that not how parenthood should work? Is it kind of like you gotta be batting 100 to be a good parent? Is that how it works? He did put Sanji's head in an iron mask and put him in a prison cell. So that was pretty bad. It probably does severely swing the pendulum pretty hard. Okay, he forced Sabo. Alright, so here's what Outlook 3 made him do. Goat God 340 says he forced Sabo to read books. Alright. Was he gonna get him killed? Was he gonna do anything bad? Sun Moon says, bro, he genetically modified them. Yeah, but, is that, I mean, like, he genetically modified them, but, like, they're all, doing pretty well, including Sanji at this. I mean, what I mean by that is, like, he gave them superpowers. Is that, like, a really bad thing to do? Like, think back to this, all right? So you grow up, you have superpowers, right? You are stronger, faster, basically invulnerable. You can't be hurt by bullets. Are you kind of like, man, my parents are the worst for giving me these abilities? I don't know. He adopted Stelly to replace Sabo in case Sabo wasn't a good son, a failsafe, if you will. Okay, that's not the worst. That belongs in C tier. Because he was still willing to see with Sabo. It was kind of like a wait-and-see mentality. That is also an interesting thing to me with Stelly, which is that, like, with the way nobility and everything like that works in One Piece and the importance of having certain blood, it's kind of weird that they're just willing to adopt a kid like Stelly and be like, hey, he can be a noble now. Unless I'm missing something about Stelly. John678 says, can you include the dad next to Oron in the tier list? Also say his name. No, I can't do that. I can't do it. Claro says he removed their emotions. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Alright, you know what? Judge is going firmly in C tier. He's not D tier because he did, he still took care of like 80% of his kids. He took away their emotions, but he gave them superpowers. He was mean to Sanji. He was very mean to Sanji. But he kind of reconciled with Sanji towards the end. But in a really, in a really bad way. James the Max says he threatened to kill Sabo's friends. I mean, Sabo's friends are some nasty-ass kids. It's literally the son of the world's worst criminal and then the son of the other world's worst criminal. So it's kind of like, they're from his. You can understand where he's coming from, right? You can understand where he's coming from. It's kind of like, hey, who are you hanging out? Think about it like this. Who are you hanging out with these days, son? And they're like, oh, I'm hanging out with Osama bin Laden's kid. Maybe threatening to kill that kid would probably be really far, but you would understand why, as a parent, he'd be very concerned, right? So it's a complicated situation, right? You can understand why, as a parent, you'd be like, hey, I don't want you hanging out with Osama bin Laden's kids. In fact, I will use violence if necessary to separate you from that situation. Noob Wizard says, no, you guys have to understand. It's from the One Piece character's perspective, right? From their perspective, it's like, these are some bad kids. James the Max says he didn't know that. No, I'm just saying the general idea, which is that he would be confirmed in his suspicions. He's like, hey, son, I feel like you're hanging out with a bad crowd, right? You're hanging out with a bad crowd. He is correct. The son is hanging out with, in the context of the One Piece world, basically, the worst kids, the worst crowd of kids imaginable, right? He's correct in the assumption that his son's friends are maybe not coming from the most savory of places, right? Because his son's friends are the son of the world's worst terrorist and then pretty much a guy you could kind of view as also like at least the world's worst, most wanted criminal back when he was alive and stuff like that, right? So now obviously Dragon and Roger are good characters. I'm just saying from the dad's perspective, his intuition is correct that there's something not so, like, you wouldn't want your son hanging out with some kids when you feel like those kids may not be the best influence for your son. And he's ultimately right because, you know, what does Sabo go and do because he hangs around with these kids so much? Well, Sabo goes and becomes a terrorist, right? In fact, his name is on a big banner and he's being called the world's biggest terrorist nowadays, right? Isn't that the whole thing that happened at the... Like, the dad's worst fears were confirmed, right? Now, obviously, from our perspective as the reader, we know all the things that are like, look, the One Piece world is very flawed. It's good to be a terrorist in the One Piece world. Go terrorists. The One Piece world needs more terrorists, right? Let's get some more of those going, right? But I'm just saying from the dad's perspective, he is correct in that the kids that his son is hanging out with are not a good influence and that they're steering him towards a certain life, and that life does ultimately turn out to be becoming the world's biggest terrorist. That's all I'm saying. You know? Loud Waffle says all Sabo's dad knew was that they were poor. But I'm saying that the intuitions that he had about them were in fact correct, which was, I don't want you hanging out with this group of kids because it probably sets you on a worse path than being, you know, raised like as a proper noble. Guess what? It's like literally the worst path possible that his dad could imagine. That's basically it, right? Green Princess says that clip is going to be taken out of context. All right. I don't think I said anything false. I'm just like, the dad is literally correct in his beliefs that the son's, if the dad thinks that the son's kids, that the son's friends that he's hanging out with are a bad influence that will set him on a certain path, such as becoming a really big criminal or terrorist, he is 100% correct. All he knew is that they're poor, but his intuition tells him, hey, I don't think you should be hanging out with these kids. You should be inside your house reading and stuff. Let me tell you something. In the real world, not in the One Piece world, wanting your kid to stay inside and read and not hang out with criminals, right, which is what Luffy and Ace were at that point in time, that's not like a bad thing. You know what I mean? All right. Buggy D Clown says Iron Mask, no emotions, abuse. Yes, but love towards 4 out of 5 of his children, gave them superpowers, including the one he didn't like. Sanji's, you know, he could say whatever he wants about Judge nowadays, but he sure wasn't complaining about those superpowers while he was kicking Queen's ass. So it balances out. He does not belong in D. All right. Wade Turner says those children weren't the reason he became a criminal, the nobility did. Is that true? Is that true? Naft says your take on Sabo's dad is reasonable, but Judge is absolutely off the face of this planet wrong. Okay, all I'm saying is, how about we get to the end of this and see how many fathers are worse. I can name one dad that's worse than Judge right now. Let's see. Shit. Are there any dads worse than Judge? Maybe not. Maybe Judge is the worst that it gets. Is Judge the worst that it gets? Judge is probably the worst that it gets. Okay, we might have to revise some things. These are all good dads. I think we got to revise some things. Unless we're digging into this group of characters right here. Yeah, this group of characters right here, I think that... You know what? Fine. We'll put Judge in D. Yeah, Judge is literally the worst dad. My bad. Joey217 says Sanji did complain, LMAO. No, he complained, but then he used it. Like, he was complaining about, will I turn into a emotionless blah, 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 blah. But then at the end of the day, he did use it, and he got to keep his emotions. So it's like, Sanji's not too upset about it now, I'm sure. Morgan is way worse than Judge. Is Morgan worse than Judge? Morgan is not worse than Judge. Morgan is also C tier. Because Morgan actually used to give his son everything he wanted. He was just mean to his son for, when it really came down to it. You know what I mean? Carl says he literally disowned him. That's true. Wait, I forgot. Judge disowned him. He told him to get out. But he's not as bad as... I think Kaido's a little worse, right? Because Kaido tried to kill Yamato. So, I feel like that's not quite as bad, right? what Judge did. Kaido tried to kill Yamato, so Kaido's got to be a little bit worse than Judge, right? I don't think Judge tried to kill Sanji. And Appropriato says Judge beat the good dad allegations. Yeah. William Odomusuk says Sanji's like when Asian parents force you to learn the piano as a kid and you hate it, but then as an adult you use it to get girls. Yeah, that's basically that's it. Morgan's literally almost killed him. But was he trying to kill him? He just threatened him, right? I don't remember the cover story 100%. He took him as hostage. Loud Waffle says, didn't Judge starve Sanji or something? No, Kaido did that to Yamato. Maybe Judge also did that, but I think that Kaido also gave Yamato a purpose. That's true. Okay, so it's different. Here's the difference. So Judge thought Sanji was worthless and treated him as worthless, but he ultimately still, it wasn't to the point where he tried to actively kill Sanji, right? He was just so supremely disappointed in him that he treated him like trash, right? Kaido saw value in Yamato, was impressed that she had Conqueror's Haki, planned to make her Shogun of Wano, had somewhat high aspirations for her, but at the end of the day was fine killing her. So I would say that I would put them in the same tier. I would say that they're both D tier. I don't think that you can really. It's like, what do you think is worse? You know. Carl says Judge threw Sanji in jail cell with an iron helm on. Yeah, that was pretty bad. But Kaido did the same thing with Yamato. Just it's like without the Kaido did the same thing to Yamato. He just didn't put the iron mask on. But I think he also was just gonna let her die there. So, right, there was no indication that he was gonna let her out. So Judge at least let Sanji eat. He just put on a mask. So would you rather be in a jail cell? Okay, you're a kid, right? Your dad is Judge and Kaido. Would you rather be locked up in a jail cell forever with an iron mask on, but still allowed to eat and stuff? Or locked in a cave forever with some old guys, and none of you get food ever? I think that one's worse, right? That one's worse, but it's like, you know, you're just arguing like technicalities at that point, right? Grim says because Yamato likes Odin, that's why. That's true. Kaido ultimately made, he was punishing her. Maybe if Yamato reneged her love for Odin, Kaido would have taken her back. So I don't know. Let's just put, Kaido is arguably just tough love, whereas Judge was definitely not love. He did not love Sanji. So we're gonna keep them both in D. I think they're both bad. I think you can make Mar says Sanji had rat friends. Hoodie says Sanji was still eating 5-course meals. Dead Soon says, at least in the cave you got company. Yamato's lucky that those old guys were nice old guys, because she's a little girl being locked up in a cave with just a bunch of old samurai dudes. That's not cool, you know? As a parent, I don't think you would do that to your young daughter, you know? She got lucky, but it's not like Kaido knew. Keenan says, Judge tried to take all of his children's personality away, which is arguably worse than killing them. He legit tried to make them robots. He tried to make a bunch of pacifistas out of his kids. All right, we can agree that they're both really bad. Let's keep them in the same tier. They're both really bad. Let's move around to some not so obviously bad characters, right? So Beige, I think a great dad, right? I think Beige is an outstanding, upstanding father. We're going to put Beige right here. He is proud of his child. Beige even, I think he rolled up to save his family, and he was showing off to his kid, look at your dad work and stuff like that. Beige, great father, right? Chinjiao, not so great, because Chinjiao, okay, we're gonna treat Sai as Chinjiao's son in this situation, all right? Chinjiao is Sai is Chinjiao's son, even though he's his grandson. We can only go off of what we know. So Chinjiao clearly does care about his grandchildren, but at the same time, he's very forceful in the route that he wants for them. This is more of a classic example of bad parenting. And the thing about the Chinjiao Sai situation is that it's not like Chinjiao learns anything, right? It's not like he learns that, hey, I shouldn't be forcing my son to do what I want, things like that. It's that his son actually does what he wants, essentially, which is gaining the special Chinjiao family technique or whatever that can crack an iceberg, and that impresses him so much and makes him so proud of his son that he's following in his footsteps that he forgets about the whole baby 5 thing, right? How do I say beige? How is beige pronounced? Don't say beige. How's it pronounced? To me, it reads like beige, right? Is this not like beige? Yeah, J-Bro said kick him really hard. Yeah, that's the thing. See, if Sai wasn't able to beat Chinjiao, then Chinjiao would pretty much still be a bad dad. Yeah. Hody says Chinjiao is literally Garp but present. Is Garp worse than Chinjiao? Let's talk about Garp for... No, we'll get to Garp in a second. Clover doesn't count. Clover is not a dad. Come on. Cobra is a great dad. I think some of the dads that are great dads are easy, right? Easy picks. Cobra goes into S, right? Wholesome. Umar Allah says, Morj, you missed my dono? Let me take a quick look. I don't believe you. Let me see. I gotta see this for myself. It's beige. Beige. That's... No, BG? BJ? I don't... None of these seem right. I'm going with beige. No, I'm going with beige. Beige sounds right to me. I think that's more correct. You know what's funny is that for a lot of these pronunciations that people try and tell me I'm wrong on, I'm like, come on, none of us really know how it's pronounced because we never hear it out loud. But then I forget that the anime exists, so most of you guys do actually know how it's pronounced. And I just don't. Umair Ullah says, hey Morj, is Morj unleashed in the mud? No, we're trying to get the frequency of upload back up. It's just that the editors had a lot of stuff going on over the last couple months, basically. Plus, we needed to take some time off to focus on Manga Morj. So now we're getting in the rhythm where we can do both. Good news, next video on Manga Morj is going to be a JoJo's video spanning all the parts. Nikki Nugs, welcome to the Yonko. XD Charlotte says he peeped on his daughter bathing. Yeah, wait, no, that was a weird scene. I think I actually have to drop Cobra a full rank because of that. I mean, in reality, it should drop more than a full rank. It should drop several ranks, but it's just like... No, not only that, he didn't just peep on Vivi bathing. He suggested it. It was his idea. He came up with the whole thing. And it's just never addressed. The reason I don't put it... The reason I don't bump it super low is just because at the end of the day, you have to apply some weird One Piece anime logic, which is that just for whatever reason, this is not in the context of the One Piece world or the anime world or the manga world. It's just this is just par for the course, and we can assume that he wasn't interested in Vivi. He was interested in Nami, which in itself is bad because it's like Cobra's like a 50-year-old dude or something like that. He's like, let me go peep on Nami, who's probably, I feel like, I want to say 18 at the time. Nami's a year older than Luffy, right? So she's 18 at the time. Pretty sketch. I like to think he wasn't interested in Vivi, but he did rally everybody else to go check out Vivi. It's weird. We're dropping him a tier. It's obviously not like it was it's obviously not like it was Vivi that he was interested in, but it's just like, I don't know. It's still bad. All right, Dragon. All right, let's get to the interesting topics. I mean, as James the Max says, he peeked on his daughter while bathing, while also encouraging people to peep on his daughter. Yeah, pretty bad, but it's you got to apply some degree of anime logic there. Silence says being a pedo to Nami does not equal being a bad dad to Vivi. I mean, I agree, but Vivi's still there, and he's still encouraging everybody else to... He's not like, let's all go peep at, like... He's not like, let's all go check out Nami. He's like, let's go check out the girls. There's only 2 girls. It's just Nami and Vivi. There's no one else. It's like... It's not like he was thinking of like a crowd of girls that his daughter happened to be a part of, which in itself would still be weird. There's only 2 of them. Law Shambled says, doesn't Beija's son smoke a full cigar? He a gangster. Yeah, I mean, that just shows how well he takes after his father, right? Rice says, this isn't a perviness tier list, it's a dad tier list. Cobra's S tier. No, but it's still... yeah, but it's still... It's not... It's not that he's a pervert. If it was just like, hey, I'm gonna go check out Nami, then sure, he's an S tier. It's that his daughter was also there, and he encouraged everybody else to also go check out the daughter. I think that drops him a tier. All right, Dragon. This is tricky. Dragon is shit. We need another tier. Okay, hold on. Terrible. Bad. Yeah, terrible, bad. Is Dragon in bad? No, you know what? I like the letters better. It's just like, does Dragon belong in B with Chinjiao? Or C with these guys? Because it's not like Dragon tried to use Luffy as a hostage like Morgan. Spade says Cobra also tried to peek on Vivi when she was changing into her dress for her speech. No, that's not what that scene was. I'm pretty sure that's not what that scene was. Dragon is B A tier? No, he's not. Carl says Dragon isn't a father. No, he qualifies. He's a biological father. This is tricky. I really don't know where to put him. Because it's just like, what's the deadbeat tier? Is he better than Cobra? Not better than Cobra? Okay, because here's the difference. So if we're comparing Dragon and Chinjiao, Chinjiao was around, sure, but Chinjiao also is trying to force Sai into a certain path. On the flip side, Dragon is not around, but every time he talks about Luffy, he really encourages and embraces the idea that Luffy is following his own path, right? This is hard. Degen dances Dragon doesn't even count if we're being real. Why doesn't Dragon count? Biological fathers count. Jolly D Joestar says he saved Luffy from Smoker. That's true. Big points from saving Luffy from Smoker. I think big points there. I feel like Dragon belongs in B. Not because he's a good father, not because like by the general scale of fatherhood he would belong in B, but because of the scale that we've got, right? Micah Barrera says S tier adoptive father to Sabo, F tier to Luffy. I don't know if Dragon Sabo is like a father-son relationship. You can't just like say like any dynamic where it's like there's a mentor-mentee sort of situation that it's a father-son relationship, you know? I don't think that's the same thing. Like, I think there's a difference there. Some of these dads are hard to grade. It's like, I don't know. Do I put Dragon in B? What do I do? I guess this is a poll, right? This is where we do a poll. I think this is the right time to do a poll. Also, let's get the likes at 300. Hoodie says Dragon told Sabo to shut the fuck up about Luffy. That's true. He did do that. Manifest Joe, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 3 months. Dragon has to be held to different standards of fatherhood due to being raised by Garp. Maybe he didn't know he had a dad either. No, that doesn't... You could still... Like, that gives him a good excuse for maybe not being a good dad if he had a poor dad himself. But, you know, that doesn't... We're still, like, evaluating him as a father, right? Not the reasons for why he might not be a great father. Ahmed Boost says he literally raised Sabo. No, did he raise Sabo, or was Sabo raised up in the Revolutionary Army? I think those are two different things, right? Like, was Dragon being a father to Sabo over the course of this, or was Dragon kind of the guy that took him in, was a mentor figure, etc.? But like, was Sabo raised specifically by Dragon? I don't feel like Sabo is raised specifically by Dragon, right? Like, probably just Sabo is raised in the context of the Revolutionary Army, would be my assumption. I don't know. Hoodie says Shanks is not a father figure to Luffy either, but y'all run with that. Okay, we're going to rate Dragon first, and then the next question I want to ask you guys is, does Shanks count as a father figure for Luffy? Because it is a stretch at the end of the day. Shanks was around for maybe, I don't know, like a year of Luffy's life. I don't remember the exact time span. I don't know if he was like a father figure, more just like a really cool, inspiring role model that Luffy looked up to. Is that what a father figure is? I don't know. It's tricky. Tricky. Alright. Tricky. Pablo says, nah, Sabo was like 10. What do you mean? Okay. Keenan is saying I need a gap. Maybe I need another tier. The gap between Sabo's dad / Morgan and someone like Chinjiao is larger. But my question is just like, is Sabo a worse dad than Chinja? Or sorry, is Dragon a worse dad than Chinja? I don't even know where I would put Dragon. Because I'm like, I think Dragon is more welcoming of like letting his son be what he wants to be. I think there is value in that. And he did save his son. Chinja is kind of like it's not just the Sai Baby 5 situation. Chinja is kind of harsh about his kids the entire time, from what I remember. I think he was even, I might be remembering this wrong, I think he was kind of derogatory towards them during the Colosseum part of the arc. I might be remembering that wrong. I think like not respecting their strength or something. Maybe I'm totally wrong about that. Maybe I'm not remembering. Gigatronma says maybe Sabo is Dragon's bet for Joy Boy. Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point. Manifest Joe says Dadan's bandit's more of a father figure than Shanks. Yeah, that's true. This is too hard. Shanks is Uta's dad? Oh, yeah. You know what's crazy? I actually forgot about Uta. So I thought more so when we saw Shanks here. You know what I thought of when we saw Shanks here? I was thinking of that random kid. I was thinking of that random kid. Hold on. Let me show you guys. I'm not gonna. I don't know why my mind went here specifically. The random ass kid that Makino has. That's who I thought of. This kid. I think I've just like assumed somewhere in my mind that this is Shanks' kid, even though it probably doesn't really make sense timing wise at all. Like when did Shanks roll up back here or whatever? Probably doesn't make any sense. But in my mind, when I saw Shanks here, I didn't even think of Luffy. I didn't think of Uta. I was just like, oh yeah, Shanks is a dad. He's Makino's, yeah, Makino's baby daddy, right? Blue says, Morj, you missed my super. All right, wait, let me double check. Oh, hold on. I got to catch up on... No, I think I got everybody. Let me see. What did I miss from Blue? Blue says, check out Euro Animations 10 out of 10 YouTube One Piece content. I'm not going to do that on stream, but I will think about it later. I don't know. Ender Ainami says, no way Shanks didn't tap that. I mean, I agree, but I'm just like, he was there 20 years ago. Not 20 years, like 10. He was there a while ago, you know what I mean? It's like a while. Unrivaled says, Yonko tier member for 4 months. Oda kind of implied that's Shanks' kid. When did Oda imply it? Plasticola says, Uta's not a biological daughter of Shanks either. Yeah, but we're counting it. We're counting it as a father figure, right? Anyone that counts as a father figure in the sense that, like, they would call them dad, pretty much, we count it. Yeah, let's say that. They have to be... New rule. Father figure stuff doesn't count. You have to call them dad, right? That doesn't mean that they are... Yeah, you have to call them your father. That doesn't mean that they need to be biological, but they do need to almost explicitly be taking that role. No, that's not fair, because then Jen doesn't count, and Hirolook doesn't count. I don't think Chopper ever called Hirolook his father. I don't remember. Okay. We'll leave it. Then. Never mind. Forget it. We're going with the vague interpretation of father figure. Why is Noland here? Who the fuck are Nolan's... I'm putting Noland here. Why is Noland in this discussion? All right, guys. We're at a crossroads. First of all, who is a worse father, Chinjao or Dragon? Let's see. Let's start with that. Worse father. Then that'll help me divvy up the tiers. This might be one of the hardest tier lists ever. I don't know how we do this. How do you evaluate how good a dad is? Dutz says, well, I guess he did peek at Vivi. Yeah, it's that, and also he encouraged everybody else to do so. That docks him 1 tier. Dragon is a worse father than Chinjao. Would I rather have a father like Dragon or a father like Chinjao? I think they belong in the same tier, because it's so close. You guys landed at about 51-48%. Wait, let me do the poll again. I ended it so quick. Worst father. One more time. That sounds like they belong in the same tier then, if the poll is so close. Corazon. Yeah. Forget what I was saying. Yeah, it's basically 50-50. Oh, no, more people... It's tight. More people think Dragon's a worse father. I'm going to leave them in B tier. Alright? They stay in B tier. Chinjiao is in his child's life. Yeah, but being in your child's life doesn't mean you're better. Because we already put Morgan as worse than Dragon, right? I think it's better to have a very... Like, in my opinion, it's better to just not be there as a father, but still be very encouraging and hope for the best for your kid, and, like, ultimately be there to look out for them, like at Logtown, like Dragon did, than be like Morgan, who would physically abuse his son and literally hold him as hostage to try and escape from the police. I think that that's worse. You get what I'm saying? I think that that's worse. So we're going to roll with this, all right? Where does that put Garp? Okay, if we went by real-world standards, if we apply real-world standards to this, right? If we apply real-world standards to Garp is actually probably around D tier. I can't speak to his relationship with Dragon, but I'm kind of going with his relationship with Ace and Luffy, right? Because, I mean, with Luffy, he's probably, like, it's like, who is more of a father to Luffy? Dragon or Garp? Garp was, right? Umair Ulas says, thank God that Morj Unleashed is coming back. Can't wait to see you make some more sellout faces for thumbnails. Love you, Morj. That's... yeah, that is what happens. Thanks. But yeah, the things that Garp did, I don't know if people remember. Okay, let's pull up the rap sheet, right? I think it's chapter 431, if memory serves correctly. Garp was he was a very in the real world. It's like if we're punishing Cobra for the, you know, anime ecchi jokes and stuff, of like bringing it's 432, my bad. Yeah, bringing guys over to peep on his daughter. It's like, well, Garp though. It's like Garp kind of. Okay, I pushed you over bottomless cliffs, threw you into the jungle at night, tied you on a balloon and sent you flying in the sky. And then we have actual panels, as I remember, of Garp straight up beating up Luffy, Ace, and Sabo. Like, violently. Sabo, who's not even his kid, or he's not in charge of Sabo. But Garp loves his kids. Garp loves them, and he cares for them, and they care for him. So I think that puts him slightly... He's definitely worse than Dragon, right? I think it's worse to be... You know, I get it, right? There's this whole thing, but there's... Okay, modern cultural debate. It's been happening these days. You see it of how far is too far with parenting, and a lot of it goes with different cultures, right? Certain cultures, it's like, you should never touch your child. You should always be, you know, encouraging, finding different ways to discipline. Some modern parents don't believe in discipline at all. Crazy people. But I get it. Lots of white families and such feel like physical discipline out the window. Then you move over to like Asian, or I think just in general, lots of minority cultures, and it's like, well, physical discipline was just a part of it, right? It's just a part of the way things are. And then that goes into the debate of like, okay, well, how much is too much? And it's like, well, maybe there's a difference between like your mom slapping you once or something like that in the face. I'll say this. As a kid, I can't be like, oh, my parents like hit me a bunch, right? Because I came from an Indian household. That's not true. But it varies the degree, in that my mom did slap me in the face a lot when I was a kid. That was like a thing. Your mom, I think that's a thing that I think most Indian kids go through. Or do they? I don't know. I don't exactly know. But I did get slapped in the face a lot as a kid for all sorts of, like, just depending on the age, it depends, but, like, literally, if I spilled something or something like that and was at a bad time, you get slapped, all right? Not a big deal to me, in my opinion, but I get that there's a wide range of people and how they react to things like that. And then you get into worse stuff, which is like, at what point do you call it abuse, right? When it's not just like a slap in the face, but like actual marks are actually like really rough on the kid or something like that, right? So I get it. And there's stuff like caning and stuff like that, right? So a wide range. So all that being said, right? My mom didn't backhand me. No, it was all front hand. Silence says, bruh, I got beat with a stick, still turned out fine. I will say one thing before I go any further. I do think that there's a bit of a thing with like we almost got like a sense of pride almost. Like lots of like when these conversations come up of like, oh, is disciplining okay or not okay? And people who grew up in cultures such as myself where some degree of physical discipline was always accepted, right? We do grow up with some degree of pride almost of like, yeah, well, we went through it and you know what? We're fucking, yeah, like we're fine. So it's not a big deal and stuff like that. I don't think that's the right way to look at it. It can feel good almost to be like, look, it's not a big deal. Like, fucking toughen up. It toughens you up. Make sure you're not spoiled and stuff like that. That can feel good to say. But, at the same time, it's like, just because we went through it and we didn't think it was that bad, that doesn't necessarily mean it wouldn't be better for next generations, right? Like, that, I don't think that's the correct mentality of just like, well, I'm fine, therefore, let's just keep this ball rolling, basically. I don't think that's right. I don't intend to ever physically discipline my kid. My dad never physically touched me in that way. It was always my mom, which I think is it's just better, in my opinion. So I think where I'll leave it at is my wife is free to, I think I'll leave it at that. My wife will be free to slap the kids to her heart's content. I will never touch the kids. I think it just comes from a different place when it's a father doing it. Yeah, I'm figuring out some things right now. I think I'm maturing as a parent, even though I don't have a kid. Yeah, I will never touch my kids. I think I'm confident in that. My wife is free to slap them if she so chooses. I will neither encourage it nor prohibit it. I think that's where I'm at. Anyway, the Slight Eyes says kids today def need it. That's the thing. I don't think that's the right mentality. It's just like, just because you're growing up and you're like looking at these fucking shitty Gen Zers or whatever, and you're like, these annoying little kids with their TikToks and stuff like that, someone just needs to fucking hit them, right? That's what a lot of us probably feel, right? These fucking kids, they could use some discipline. Fuck them. I don't think that that's the right mentality, though. Because that comes from more of a place of spite, right? Rather than than actually being like, okay, what allows people to grow into, mature, healthy adults or whatever, and promotes the type of society that we want in general, yada, 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 right? Tam Nguyen says, not really a badge of honor. Yeah, it's not, but I think a lot of people who grew up with that sort of thing really do hold it as a badge of honor, which I think is the wrong mentality, right? Just because you think that you grew up fine with that sort of thing, and you're like, well, therefore I should be allowed to do X, Y, or Z going forward, I don't think that's the right way to look at it. I'm not saying that, like, there's a blanket right or wrong in this situation or whatever, but I'm just saying that argument I don't agree with. Anyway, Not a Pro 64 says, if Garp's going to discipline... no. So the long story at the end of this, though, is that, like, all of that being said, right, you could say all of that stuff, but then you have, like, Garp who's, like, so far beyond the point of a gray area, right? So everything I said there was basically, like, to establish that, look, there's probably some degree of gray area when it comes to physical discipline for kids, right? Garp is comically so far past the gray area, right? It's not black or white. He's in the black and, like, so far deep in the black that it's like a new shade of, like, it's so absurd. He pushed Luffy over bottomless cliffs, threw him into a jungle at night, tied him on a balloon, and sent him flying into the sky. Keep in mind, if Luffy lands in water, he will drown and die because he has a devil fruit. So Garp is basically like, yeah, my whole spiel there was basically saying, like, no matter how you spin it, no matter where you fall on the idea of discipline, Garp is like 50 tiers removed from any sort of sane semblance of, like, the argument that, like, physically disciplining your kids is condonable in some circumstances, right? So it's almost like, okay, if we're applying real world logic, right? Like, we docked Cobra a tier. I feel like Garp's got to be docked, like, all the tier. He's almost here, right? He's almost in D. His only saving grace is that he does love the kids. The kids do seem to love him. Ace and how he handled the situation with Ace at Marine Ford, I think, is very controversial. Rightfully so. It's complicated. I'm going to put Garp in C. I think he belongs comfortably in C. So anyway, if Garp's going to discipline them, this is what Not a Pro 64 is saying. His kids became the #1 revolutionary and future pirate king, LMAO, worst Marine of all time. That's true, but we're not judging him as a Marine. We're judging him as a dad. But as a dad, he also did fail at being an influential father because he basically made his kids do the exact opposite of what he wanted, right? Papa Dog Sucker, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 4 months. Garp beat those kids so no other man's beating would affect them. S tier father. He did instill certain values that he wanted that he did want his kids to have, which he want, like, okay, it's funny because he was right. He got his primary goal done. All that was done so that he could become a strong man. So that worked, right? He raised the strongest kids, period, right? But he fucked up in that it did lead to that strength being used in a route that he personally did not approve of. So, interesting thoughts there. Green Princess says, where would Morj be on the dad tier list? I think I would be a good dad, but I wouldn't be around that much. Does that make sense? I think the time that I'd be spending with my kids, I think I'd be great. But I also think I wouldn't want to hang around them that much. So I think I'd be an A-tier dad. I think I'd be around there. That's what I think. Right? My hope is that my kids aren't needy and that they like their personal space and don't need a lot of attention from parents, you know? Sean Easton says, for all of the spirit breaking that Kaido is known for, he couldn't break the will of his 7-year-old. Okay, I mean, like, I've got enough issues about Kaido not really breaking anyone's spirits or anything like that over the course of Wano, but I think that goes more so to show, like, you know, Yamato's got a tough spirit than anything else. You know. No, I'm not saying I would leave. I'm not saying I would go out to get some milk and never come home. I mean more so like, you know, I just wouldn't want to hang out with them, play with them, spend quality time with them that much. I think I would to a degree, but just not that much. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know. Like, I think I just wouldn't want to, I just don't think I want to hang out with them that much. But I would enough. I think I'd do it enough. You know what I mean? No, I'd still be home. You know? I think I would be pulling this thing where it would be like, I think I'd be pulling the thing where it's like, okay, I'm done. Oh, fuck, I'm work from home though. This is so tricky. Shit. I'm work from home. How would I get out of this? Because it's like, dads that work at the office, they can pull the thing where it's like, hey, sorry, I'm going to be late coming home tonight because, you know, they're making me work overtime or something like that, or just up to my neck with paperwork or something. I'm going to be a little bit late, right? So then you can get like an extra hour or two or something like that of just not having to spend time with the kids. I couldn't really do that, could I? Couldn't really do that. They'd literally be able to watch the stream and know when the stream's going to end. I'd have to stream longer just to avoid hanging out with the kids. It's going to be a hard life. All right. Keiko Saito says, Morj only there for dinner time with the kids. Yeah, that's right. We'd all be eating HelloFresh as a family. All right. Moving on. Let's go. Yeah, I think I'd be A tier. Because the thing is, there's a huge gap between B and A tier at the moment, right? All right. Josh5 knows says overtime also a cheater, LMAO. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. This is purely in relation to the kids and not wanting to spend time with them. I would want to spend some time with them, just not that much, you know? More strategizing to be a deadbeat. Yeah, I would need... Fuck. I need to find an office job as soon as I become a dad. Quit business, quit YouTube. get an office. I mean, I guess I could work out of an office. You know, like one of those uh yeah, you can always get an office space away from home. That works. All right. I can drive says no way he just wants to be a distant dad. Okay. Gen. Gen. I forget that his full name is Genzo. Gen is about the best dad that it gets. He gets bonus points for not actually being Nami and Nojiko's dad, but going above and beyond for them. This scene still gets me. I feel like it's chapter 80, maybe 79. 79. Yeah, this scene still gets me. I think all the Gen scenes are just awesome. Oh, man. Okay. His interactions, the amount that he cares for them, even though he's not even romantically involved with Bellamy or something like that. He literally is just a guy that cares for these kids, right? He cares for Bellamy. He wants to look out for Bellamy. He wants to look out for her kids, right? This scene really gets me. Obviously, Bellamy's death, but then like, oh, I'm gonna tear up on stream. I can't do this. Yeah, Nami being taken away, and her yelling for help for Gen. Oda's so good at drawing emotional like really big expressions. I think he's really good at drawing big expressions in these sort of scenes, right? That's why I always feel like Oda's backstories are the best. They just hit so hard because the way he does emotions and portrays emotions, I think, are... Because One Piece has lots of exaggerated expressions. I think it works really good for stuff like this. So Gen just getting cut up. We learn that that's where his scars are from and everything like that. And he's still coming. This is the moment that Nami realizes that, like... This was the really defining moment for her, where she decides that she doesn't want to ever ask anybody for help again. Right? Seeing this. Yeah. So this whole sequence, and then the follow-up, I feel like 2 chapters later, with Gen taking the knife from her, and just being like, yeah. I don't think I need to explain this. This was One Piece at its absolute best, right? One Piece at its absolute best. So Gen goes right here, right? Gen goes right here. Gen does not perv on Nami. I think that he probably is, like, just from some of his comments over the course of the, like, whatever, he is, like, a little uncomfortable with, you know, Nami and Nojiko basically growing up to be bombshells or whatever. But he's not perving on Nami. He's more so, like, really concerned about, like, everybody else perving on her. Gen definitely gets extra points for, like, literally not being Nami's father, but, you know, still going above and beyond, right? Okay. Hero look, easy S. Don't think I need to explain. This is where we're getting to the top tiers. See, Beige is a good dad. Like, Beige is a great dad, but we just haven't seen as much. We can just tell that he's a great dad, but we haven't seen as much. Like, Hiroluk and Gen, especially because they aren't their biological fathers, they're just going out of their way to do everything for these kids, right? Chopper, Nami, etc. I think that hits a little harder for me personally. Nikki Nug says, it's a little weird that her bounty poster is giant and blown up on his wall, though. I mean, it wouldn't be weird if she just had a normal post. If it was just a poster for face, then it wouldn't be considered weird, right? We'd just be like, oh, that's a loving father. It's because her poster happens to be really sexual that it makes it weird. But, you know. I don't think that's what he's thinking. Yeah, it's just like Hiroluk and Gen, we see more of their sacrifices that they've done, right? There's more dramatic scenes associated with them, right? And more dramatic acts. Beige, we can just tell, is a good dad, though. J Press P says, rate the Straw Hats as dads. Oh, that's fun, real quick. Okay, let me, if I were to pretend the Straw Hats as dads, how they would be. Let me do Straw Hats as parents. Quick tier list in the middle of this tier list. Quick tier list in the middle of this tier list. Let me just pull up Straw Hat Pirates. got everybody here. All right. Intermission tier list. Oh, shit. Why is it not moving? Move. Hello? Fuck, did I break the computer? Okay. Straw Hats' parents. Really quick. I mean, I think Nami would... Okay, everybody thinks that Nami would be an amazing parent because Nami's, that's kind of the thing that they're playing up for. Son, thanks for the donation. You should ask a question, please, next time. Let me go real quick. Okay, Nami, she would be a good parent, but I think, there's a difference between being, a really loving parent, like I'm sure Nami would be, but I also think she'd be, a terrible mom to have functionally, right? Like, imagine Nami being your mom. She's she's very controlling, would have a lot of rules. She would definitely love you a lot, but she would not be I think the way Nami is, she would be a borderline terrible mother to have, just not to the point that it's abusive or neglectful, just so loving but also so controlling and stuff. Like you would not want Nami as your mom, right? I think Robin would be a great mom because we've seen the nurturing, kind side from Robin and everything like that. Like we've seen her with Momonosuke, with Toko and stuff like that. I think Robin would be a better mom than Nami because Robin is also just generally a more understanding and gentle-handed person, I think, than Nami. We see the loving side of Nami, but she's got a really harsh side. Robin's got a scary side to if somebody tries to hurt her children, but I think Robin would just be a much, she'd be a better mom to have. You know what I mean? Just really loving kids and being, having strong maternal instincts, that alone doesn't make you a great parent, right? That's should be the bare minimum, to be honest, right? I think Robin's got that, probably to a lesser degree than Nami, but, I'm just saying that, think about who you would rather have as your mom. Nami, who is going to be yelling at you a lot, going to be telling you what to do all the time, going to be very controlling, very, just very, very, right, all the time, very strict. That's Nami, right? She's going to love you a lot, but that's just, it's just, would you rather have her as your parent or Robin, right? I think Chopper would be a good parent. I think Chopper would be right here. Once he grows up and matures, I think he'd be a great parent. Frankie would be the cool dad. Frankie's the definition of a cool dad. So, maybe not the best, it kind of balances out. I think these two kind of show both sides of, Nami's probably super involved, super involved in her kid's life, but probably a bit extra about the whole thing. Frankie's probably pretty hands-off, but kind of wacky. Maybe doesn't always, gives his kid a beer to drink when he's 10 or something like that. But he's still a fun parent to have. Maybe he's a B. Cool dad, right? I think Jinbei's here. No, there's nothing that suggests that Jinbei would be really loving to his kids, right? I think he'd be more involved than Frankie and would offer a lot of wisdom. Put him here. I don't trust Brook as a dad. I think Brook would just be a whack dad. Luffy as a dad would basically be a child. Sanji would be a good dad. I legit think Sanji would be a good dad because Sanji, from what we've seen, he's got good instincts with kids and stuff like that, actually, from what we've seen. And he's smart. He, I think, would give good, he's life smart, right? I think that Sanji's kind of generally a well-rounded person in terms of how he interacts with most people outside of women. So outside of giving his son advice with women, I think he's right here. Usopp, I think, would be right around here. Zoro, I think, would be slightly better than Luffy. That's basically all I got. All right. Luffy would actually be a hazard to his child, right? It would actually be a hazard. Zoro would be detached, and Zoro does lots of dumb things, but it's not to the degree that Luffy is. Luffy is basically, in the real world, he's not a functioning individual. The things he would teach Luffy are just basically... the things Luffy would teach his kid are basically terrifying, right? I think this is about it. All right, I think this is a pretty good tier list for parents of the Strats being parents. All right, back to this one. Homing. Okay, this is an interesting pick. Doflamingo's dad. I think Doflamingo's dad, he had his heart in the right place. He really, really, really did. I respect this character so much. It's just that he got hit with the reality of the One Piece world and the reality of the way the world works. he's kind of like, you know how lots of people are like, fuck rich people, fuck billionaires, blah, 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 blah. Homing is kind of the example of, I think, what a lot of people would love to imagine people who are born into a great degree of inherited wealth would do, which is to basically be like, okay, I forego this. This is not my wealth or something like that. I was just born into it. Let me let go of this and let me let my family live as normal people. So the mentality there is nice, but it's also just like, well, what happens when you do it? Yeah, Jets fan 051 says Homing didn't read the room. He did not read the room. And it got his kids kind of fucked. So it's like, he's not here, obviously. He's not here. He's somewhere here. He is a good father. I think having your heart in the right place and really caring for your kids, which he did, he tried to do everything he could. He just didn't know, right? He didn't know any better. And I don't think that's what makes you a good... I think it's here. Yeah, he is a good father. Like, at the end of the day, you do need wisdom, right, to be a capable parent, which he lacked. He's like, it's so problematic because he's a great parent in every other aspect. Maybe he's here. I can't say he's as bad as these guys. I feel like he's here. I'm going to put him in B. All right. Kalgara, why is he here? I don't... Oh no, Kalgara was offering his daughter up to... I forgot whose daughter... Like, I forgot who... his whole thing was. Okay, so offered his daughter up as a sacrifice. Bad. At the same time, they believed that was the only way to save their land. Like, he literally doesn't know any better. I'm gonna put him in C. Kinemon, great adoptive father to Momonosuke. I will put him in S. I'll put Kinemon in S. Right? Kinemon, I think we can agree in S. Is there any reason to drop Kinemon to A? Kinemon doesn't feel like an S tier father to me, but he is, right? He is. I think the reason Kinemon doesn't feel like an S tier father to me is just because initially we were like told that Kinemon is Momonosuke's father for a long time. And then we find out after a little bit, like, oh, it's not actually his father. Like, the relationship is not what we thought it was. So then that kind of changed my perspective. I've stopped viewing him as Momo's father. But that's just because we got that shift in perspective. In reality, he's just as much Momo's father as Hirolook or Gen, right? Yeah, I think, yeah. He's an S tier father. I think, one of the reasons I don't put... Okay, the only reason I don't put Kinemon truly alongside these guys is because Momonosuke is also his master, right? So it's kind of like, past a certain point, I understood, like, Kinemon is also just following his duty. And I think along the way, he grew to become really attached to Momo and, like, did so much for him as his son. But it's just because so much of it is also Kinemon framing it as, like, I have to protect my lord, I have to protect my lord, my master, etc. So it's intermingled, right? The love that he has for Momonosuke, it's not quite the same as like Hirolook and Gen, which to me feels more pure in that it's literally just like these are people completely unrelated to these kids, but they have such a strong paternal instinct that they take them in and they give their entire lives for them. So it's a little different. I want to drop Kinemon a little bit because he doesn't always give Momonosuke the best guidance. He's not the best father figure for Momo because he coddles Momo too much. That was actually a big deal if you go back to, like important points in the series, like fairly important scenes in the series, like, the entire discussion that they had with, asking for help and everything like that, from the Straw Hats. I think one chapter over. Yeah, asking for help from the Straw Hats and stuff like that. The big thing is that Momonosuke, what do you call? Momonosuke needs to step up, be an adult and everything like that. it's clear. I think like scenes like this, right? That's like only Luffy is able to bring that part out of Momonosuke, right, and kind of hold him to a certain standard. It's clear between scenes like this and scenes like them at the beach and everything like that when they think people haven't shown up and they're sending Momonosuke home. They, I don't think that like Kinemon clearly cares about Momo, but he coddles him probably too much, and I don't think he always has the best advice or decision. Like he's just trying his best, but at the end of the day, his mentality is also like, well, I have to protect Momo because Momo's like he treats him as though he's this very fragile object that needs to be preserved because Momonosuke is, also the like his master, descendant of Odin, etc. Like he's supposed to like his duty is to safeguard this kid. So his heart is definitely in the right place, but I don't view it the same as these other guys, I suppose, who I view as like more all-around great father figures, right? Because it's not just like how much you care about the kid, it's like how well are you able to guide him. And Kinemon's like 80% of the way there. So I'm going to drop Kinemon to A. Not for being any lesser than these two, or these three, I suppose, but just, if we're really getting to how good of a father he has his gaps, right? Edson Alon says this looks like a best dads, not worst dads tier list. Yeah, it makes more sense to do it this way because it just looks weird to say like S tier and then have it just visually makes more sense, I think, to go from best to worst always, generally, right? Yeah, I mean that's like kind of like the Chinjao Dragon situation, right? Like to a degree, right? Like Dragon made ultimately. Like that's not a good analogy. It's not the same thing. All right, Koshiro is Koshiro. Okay, for the sake of shortening the list, I'm taking Koshiro out of there. He's just not. I don't think he's like a father figure to Zoro. Kiros, great father. Kiros S tier, easy. Let's move it along. Dejen Dan says Kinemon is not in the same tier as the perv. Come on. I mean, that's like another aspect. Kinemon gets pissed off at Momonosuke getting away with perv stuff. Like, legitimately pissed off. Like, he's ready to do violence to that kid when he sees Momonosuke getting away with perv stuff. He's not, he's not as wholesome as these top four characters, right? Moria. Who's Moria father of? I don't even know Moria's kid. Moria's going here. Perona? Is it because Moria took in Perona? I'm just, for the sake of shortening the list, I'm putting it here. Mr. 9, sake of shortening the list, I'm putting it here. Like, let's talk about fathers so we get a better idea of, right? Oh, Queena? Oh, yeah, you're right. Queena. Forgot about Queena. Well, this is going to be fairly blunt, but I feel like part of being a good parent is making sure that child, makes it to adulthood. And kind of like out of all the dads here, he probably dropped the ball on that in the biggest way. Yeah, I'm going to leave him there. Like, you couldn't put some railing on those stairs, man? Come on. And he crushed your dreams. Yeah, he's just a D tier dad. You guys, we have different reasons for putting him in D. I think that we're all on board. I thought we were talking about Koshiro as like a father figure to Zoro. I was like, that's such a stretch. Sneeds Feed and Seed says he was so sexist she died. That's actually really funny. Okay. Neptune kept Shirahoshi. I feel like, okay, with Neptune, he kept Shirahoshi locked away in like a tower for her entire life. I get that it was for her own safety, but I feel like there's better solutions. So I'm going to put him in C. He's C? Come on. No. All I'll say is that, look, Sanji, alive and thriving right now. Yamato, alive and thriving right now. These characters chasing their dreams, right? Sanji, Yamato, alive, thriving, chasing their dreams, right? Doing very well. Kuina, dead, and even if she was alive, she wouldn't be allowed to chase her dreams. I think he belongs here. Whitebeard. Easy S tier, right? Easy S tier. Am I ranking these? I feel like, okay, just imagine I'm not ranking these. I feel like I'm going to put Whitebeard right here. Just because... No, it's tricky. It's like, Whitebeard was a great father to many. I think Hiruluk and Gen, they were like the perfect father to one person, right? Kiro. So it's like hard to compare these. I feel like this isn't ranked. We're just going to leave it kind of nebulous. Odin, was he a good dad? I think Odin's like the definition of like, Odin's here, right? He's not a bad dad. I don't think Odin's a bad dad. Whitebeard's also like the model, like he's the iconic father of One Piece, right? So let's put him in here. I don't think he's in his own tier. Because I'll say this. I, like, you know the thing that Whitebeard was accused of? By Squad, right? Like, you know, like, you care about Ace more than us. It's, like, low-key true. Right? He doesn't view all of his children equally. I don't think that's true. Billy Brethel says he fought a war to save his son. Yeah. By... by throwing all of his other sons into the fire. He brought a war by taking all of his sons into a life or death battle to save a son. He's great in a very he's great in a sort of like grand mythic sense as a father. I'm just saying that, like, in terms of like an actual one-to-one father-son bond, father-child bond that we've seen, I feel like these characters represented a bit more, and then Whitebeard represents kind of the model, you know, ideal image of like this grandfather figure. I think it's just different, you know? Yeah. Billy Brethel says his sons love their brother. I'm just saying Squad was... some of them had issues, right? Some of them had issues. Not all of them were on board. They recognize their faults, but it's complicated, right? I put him at 1. I put him at 1. I get what you guys are saying. I put him at 1. It's Whitebeard. I love Whitebeard. Whitebeard's my favorite character out of these top 5 dads. It's just that, like, when I think of my favorite parent-child bond in One Piece, Whitebeard's not the one I think. Like, he's more representative of, like, this grand, great father figure, right? I think these are more pure individualist, like, individual bonds that really stood out, right? Shit, I gotta order my DoorDash real quick. 1 second, before the restaurant I order from closes. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me answer a question in the meantime. Nikki Nug says, you're acting like they didn't want to save Ace. They did, but they clearly had some issues with it, right? Otherwise, Whitebeard wouldn't have gotten stabbed. At the same time, I think that, you know, I've got him at 1. What more do you want me to do? Yeah, that's my point. Miss Meinstein's Evil says Whitebeard had like 1,000 dudes on his ship. You think he loved them all equally? Question mark. LMAO no. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if we're talking, yeah, he just didn't, right? Like that's not possible. I wouldn't be surprised if Whitebeard did not know the names. Like when he's taking characters in as his sons, it's not to form that, like it's to provide them a shelter, a space, right? Like to help them join his makeshift family. But it's not like he has the same bond between each of his kids like he did with Ace, right? Ace was his golden boy that he was raising to be Pirate King. But that doesn't make him any less of a... Like, Whitebeard's probably one of the best single characters that we've got in One Piece, period. Again, I got him at 1. If this is ranked, you know, considered ranked, not ranked. I'm not really putting much thought into, like, ranked versus not ranked here. At least for the top tier. Just kind of eyeballing it, you know? Let me just make sure I'm going to have dinner tonight. Ah. They changed their... What? Changed their UI? DoorDash changed their UI. How do I... Man. Does it look like this? I don't know how to work it. Okay. No. They didn't change their UI. I was just doing the wrong thing. Good news. Good news. I'm gonna have dinner tonight. I'm all good. I'm taken care of. Let's rank somebody else in the meantime. Pagaya. Why do I have some problem with Pagaya? Why do I have some problem with Pagaya? I know I've got some problem with Pagaya. Somebody explain to me why Pagaya is not S tier. He's not S tier, right? Is there anything that he did that puts him in S tier? He's just like a good, solid dad, right? Like he's probably A tier. Is there anything Pagaya did that wasn't good? No. No. Oh, god damn it. I think I ordered too late. Fuck. Okay. That's cool. That's cool. Insatiable Hunger says, Morj, you dodged the Reverie tournament. Shake my head. I was never in the Reverie tournament. I don't have a Switch that works. I don't have a working Switch. I was never in the Reverie tournament. I told Roger I could join in for commentary because that'd be fun. But then when I joined in, there's also like 10 other people in commentary. I'm like, alright, I'm kind of done. Like, there's no need for me to be here. You guys are good. He saved her from a giant lightning blast. You know what? Fuck it. I don't care. I don't remember everything Pagaya did. He's going in A. He's going in A. He's going in A. Senor Pink. I don't think. No, was Senor Pink. Can someone give me the chapter of Senor Pink's backstory? I need to review something. Because in theory, he's like the greatest. He's the greatest post-mortem dad ever, right? Walking around dressed as his son. But while his son and wife were around, was he that good of a dad? I don't remember. Someone give me the chapter. What was the chapter for Senor Pink's? What was the chapter for Senor Pink's? Whatever. Was he a bad dad? He was never a dad. His kid died. He was a dad for like a minute, right? I need to know. What's the chapter? Someone tell me the chapter. He was a good husband, wasn't a father. Yeah, he was never there for his son until it was too late. Okay, I'm going to put him in B. Pound. I think Pound's a great father. I love Pound. Because Pound did everything without even a relationship with his kids. I think that that's really special. That makes him, again, not ranked, but yeah, Pound's relationship with his children is really important. This is something I didn't talk about in the Whole Cake Island video, but it's interesting that the side characters like Pound and Beige, they're defined by being such amazing parents, like the perfect fathers. And the counterpart is like Judge and Sanji, that relationship, and then, you know, obviously Big Mom and her kids. Unrivaled says, didn't think Whitebeard wanted to make Ace Pirate King. From what I understood, that was just an excuse from Sengoku. Whitebeard actually didn't care about all the Pirate King stuff. No, everything in the story indicates that Whitebeard was well aware of the Will of D and well aware of the importance of it. And even in his dying speech, you can see him talking about like the will that's left behind from Roger to Ace. There's characters that talk about it like in the New World, like post time skip and stuff, about like how Ace was kind of set up to be that guy. It follows pretty much perfectly that, like, yeah, Whitebeard took in Ace very much partly because he was well aware of the will of Roger. It's not like Whitebeard himself was going to complete it or anything like that, but he understood that Ace was the guy that would be perfect to follow in his father's footsteps, right? The thing is, like, lots of times you need a reason to get the indication that, like, the author is trying to have a character have a, like, when a character's like expressing something, right? You kind of need to like have a is the author trying to tell you something that you're supposed to take as a revelation or statement of truth, right? And I think Sengoku's entire speech breaking down, like, that was meant to be sort of like a moment of truth moment, like breaking down, like, here's the truth. This is what actually happened. You are not this person. You are the son of the Pirate King. And, like, the reality is that your entire life and the entire world recognizes that, like, you're being built up to be, like, why does Whitebeard not care about being Pirate King, right? You're it, right? And there was never anything that Oda really did to try and contradict that notion, because that was kind of supposed to be, like, the starting premise of the Marineford arc to set the stakes of, like, this is what Ace really represents. Because that's what adds so much impact to the idea of Ace dying. Not just that it's Luffy's brother, but what Ace is supposed to represent. Not just that he's Roger's son, but that Whitebeard, and as we learn later on in the New World, right, post-time skip, many characters viewed Ace as kind of the shining star that was most set to probably pick up the mantle of Pirate King down the line, right? So it wasn't just that Ace is Luffy's brother, not just that Ace is Roger's son, but also that Ace is likely the best successor to Roger, even more so than Luffy. And that's kind of what Whitebeard's final dying speech is getting at, that like, yeah, like, even if Roger's gone, even if Ace is gone, that will can still be carried on in someone else. And so finally we get from Roger to Ace to Luffy as the final successor of the idea of Pirate King, right? Anyway. Brian says, you said Sabo's dad was ultimately right, even though he only knew the kids were poor. Bad logic, switch poor for black. Oh my god, we're not fucking doing this. If you say, don't hang out with that boy, he's black, if they end up being bad, doesn't make you right. First of all, my god, okay, we're not doing this. First of all, no, Luffy and Ace were not just poor. They were the fucking scourge of the city. They were criminals. They were child thieves who were stealing, like, they were notorious through the city for stealing from people, right? It's not just like, oh, those kids are poor, or oh, those kids are this race or that race. It's like, no, the kids you're hanging out with are, by definition, delinquents. Obviously, we as the reader, we know nuance, right? We know the nuance, which is like, no, they're delinquents because they need to do this to survive, right? Everything, it's not black and white, right? If you bring up race, I'm just saying in moral sense, right? It's not black and white. There's shades of gray. People do things because they got to do things, right? But I'm saying, like, no, if you as a parent found out that your kid is hanging out with basically the kids that go around stealing from everybody else, breaking into stores, robbing people, etc., day after day, and that's what they do, then, that's basically, that's something that you're going to have a problem with. And guess what? Those kids did influence your kid to become the world's biggest criminal. So yes, in that sense, the dad is correct, which is why he's in C tier and not D tier. Where are you pulling race from? This is insane. Riku Doldu the third. I forget what the deal was with him. I literally don't remember if he was a good dad or not. He did some stuff that was complicated. He, like, kind of vaguely looked out for Rebecca, but also not that much. And Scarlet was a weird situation. I'm just going to put him in, like, B. I don't remember that much about him. I feel like he could have done more. Roger as a dad. Roger as a dad's almost not fair because he didn't get a chance to be a dad, right? I'm going to put Roger in B. Why is Dragon better than Garp, though? Because Garp beat those kids. Not just beat those kids. He nearly murdered those kids on many occasions. Rosinante Corazon. We got another top line father figure right here. Roswald is actually a good dad. Better dad than, shit. He doesn't belong, I feel like he doesn't belong in A, right? Because I don't feel like he would sacrifice his life to save his son. But he definitely belongs, spoiling your kids is not good, right? But he belongs probably near the top of this tier. Right? I think right around here. Then Shanks and Uta. I haven't seen the movie. I'm gonna put him here. I've seen like enough of clips of the movie that I kind of get the idea that Shanks had some big important reason to not look out for Uta, or like to abandon Uta, because she was like a devil or something, or had a devil inside her or something like that. But I don't remember exactly. We're just gonna put Shanks here. Spandine, we don't know enough about his relationship with his son. We're gonna put him here. Sukiyaki's just a shitty character, right? I'm gonna base it on his relationship with Momo because we didn't see enough of him and Odin. He also disowned Odin. I'm gonna put Sukiyaki's gonna go here. Sukiyaki's good. Yeah, Sukiyaki goes here, I think. Was Shanks a good dad? Somebody fill me in. We're talking to Uta, not the new one. We don't know. The new one's not confirmed. Right? Did Oda confirm that it was that Makino's kid is Shanks' kid? Is Shanks a good dad to Uta? Someone explain. Loud Waffle says Sukiyaki was decent. Odin was way out of control. Shouldn't Sukiyaki be like able to control him to a degree? Yeah, it's the main thing. Sukiyaki spent his years in hiding, taking care of Tama. Maybe that's good. That's good. It's just that Sukiyaki's just such a pathetic character. It's hard for me to view him as like a good dad. I guess he's here, right? He's probably in B. But I feel like he's like Riku's here in B. I'm gonna put him here. Oda said it's probably that guy, then it's probably Shanks. Shanks, Uda, give him B or C. Okay, but wasn't he looking out for her or something like that? Like, wasn't he doing everything to try and save her or something? Okay, Dojen Dan says Shanks left, but he did it to protect her from Marines. Oh, that's a bad reason. That's a bad reason, because it's like, the red-haired pirates are hunted by Marines anyway. That doesn't make any sense. That's like if the Straw Hats left Robin... Wait, what? Oh, no, I get what... Never mind, I'm stupid. It's the other way around. Yeah, left to protect her from Marines, but it's kind of like... Shouldn't he be able to... Like, they're the red-haired pirates. What are they afraid of the Marines for? Maybe he didn't have the confidence back then. I mean, they're Yonko crew. Why is he... They're Yonko crew, right? John says, who cares if he took care of Tama? That ain't his kid. Okay, I'll leave Sukiyaki there. I'm going to put Shanks in B. Keep Shanks in unrated. I'll keep him in unrated. I didn't see the movie. It's not fair for me to rate it. Fisher Tiger. Did he have kids? Fisher Tiger didn't have kids. Right? I'm going to leave Fisher Tiger. Tom. Tom was a good... Tom's not a father figure to them. It's not the same. Not the same. Like, he's their mentor, their role model. It's different. Toto. I love Toto as a father. Toto's a great father. Toto goes in S. Toto's an amazing father. Yasop will go wherever Dragon did. So B. Yasue, yeah, him having the smile fruit and stuff like that, he can go in S. Like, eating the smile fruit for the sake of his kid. Tiger, koala? No, Tiger is not a... No, that's not... You guys are using father figure way too loosely. No, he's not the Tiger... He's not Koala's father. They escorted Koala from one place to another. That's not making him her father. Holy shit. You guys think that if you, like, babysit a kid for, like, a weekend that makes you their father figure? Holy shit. Standards are not, like, absolute, like, in the ground just to be classified as a dad. With you guys, it's like, if you get left alone with, like, a child for more than an hour, it's like, oh, yeah. You may as well have adopted them at this point. What the fuck? Zeph, top tier dad. Absolutely. These are some great dads. Top tier dad. Kuma, we don't know enough. Unranked. Papa Dog Sucker says, then why is Whitebeard on this list? Because Whitebeard kept them permanently. He brought them in to his family permanently. Fisher Tiger wasn't signing up for parental duty. He was an escort mission. It's like an escort mission in a video game, all right? When you escort, you escort character A from location A to location B, right? That doesn't make you their parent over the course of that trip. That's weird. Tom is not a father figure. Tom doesn't count. No. Tom is just their teacher. He's their coach. Tom's a great character. Okay, fine. I'll put Tom in S. I just don't think that that's the same thing. I don't think it's the same thing. Okay. Among these dads, I think we got a pretty good list at the end of the day. Among these characters, Whitebeard, Hero Look, Gen, Kyros, Pound, Corazon, Beige, Toto. Okay, here's the one thing. I think Beige and Toto, while we understand that they are amazing fathers, right? We can understand through their character that they likely would do a lot for their kids. I think these are two characters that didn't make... Like everybody else, you can see they made significant sacrifices for their kids, right? Like Whitebeard died for his son. hero look. Like, we don't need to go through the list, but each of them, like, they're willing to do. We've seen them multiple times put their lives on the line, sacrifice things, sacrifice legs, sacrifice, themselves going to Impel Down, stuff like we've seen them do so many things. So I feel like these guys all rank. Just if we had one extra tier, we might have S minus, and an S minus might be Beige and Toto, but that's just because we haven't seen them really do it, right? Whereas we know that probably most likely, yeah, Beige would probably sacrifice as much for his kid as, like, Akiros. Toto would probably sacrifice as much for his kid as, Tom or something like that. So it's kind of like we got to see it. Yeah, Monkey D says Tom is more like a sensei to Frankie than a father. And you know what? That's the right way to phrase it. I was looking for the word sensei. We needed that Japanese terminology, and now Tom is out of the picture. Okay, so best fathers in One Piece. I think these are all the best fathers for sure. Beige and Toto, I think we could see a little bit more out of them, but we're going to keep them in that tier. Then A, these are essentially good fathers, but they got something knocking them off the list just slightly. Except Pagaya, because Pagaya kind of just don't remember what he did. I just remember Pagaya not being as impactful in my mind as the others. Pagaya's probably S, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why Pagaya's... No, I just don't remember. It's out of spite, I'll put Pagaya there. Yeah, these are fine father figures. They just could have probably done a bit more. I guess Odin could have been around a bit more, but I feel like Odin still had a good dynamic, good relationship with his kids. No, not that they could have done a bit more. That's not what it is. They all had one flaw, right? Like, Cobra, it's the peeping scene, right? Kinemon, it's the not always good guidance from Momo, and also the fact that he is also obligated to take care of Momo in a way that a lot of these other figures aren't, because Momo is both his son figure, but also his master, right? He has to do everything for him out of duty, not just love. Although he obviously loves Momo, right? Odin wasn't around for a little bit, but it does seem like in the time that he was around, he was a really good dad to his kids. Like, Odin is the most, I'd say out of all the fathers, Odin's the most dad. You know what I mean? Like, he's not like like he's got a good relationship with his kids. He seems like the fun dad, right? He seems really happy to have kids and everything like that. Maybe not as involved as mom, right? That's the thing. Probably not as involved as mom. Took a bit of a business trip, right? For a good year or so, 2 years or something like that. Didn't see his kids for a bit. But in general, I feel like Odin fits, I think, many of the stereotypical ideas of, like, a dad, right? These guys all have problems, but they balance out in certain ways, right? Like, Rosewald spoils his kid. Roseward? Isn't it Rosewald? Spoils his kid, but same time probably loves his kid. Chinjiao, mostly good, just too stern and tries to force him into a certain path. Dragon, it's the opposite. Mostly uninvolved in his son's life, but clearly goes out of his way to save him, like at Loketown when needed. Absolutely needed. Hasn't shown up since then, so I guess he just decided any Slavian shit, that wasn't important enough. But most importantly, encourage his son to follow the path that is most fitting for his son, that his son most wants to do, which is very important. Homing, bad decision making, but heart in the right place, right? A lot of these dads are like the flawed, but good in certain ways dads, right? Then these are the bad dads who've done bad things, like notably bad things. I'd put Neptune up one. I think Neptune's not in the right place. Yeah, these dads are kind of just shitty, right? And then these dads are fucking terrible. The worst dads around, right? You would never want them. Remix King says thoughts on the Kyrie trade and Dallas NBA Finals. So I am going to end the stream here, most likely after this. Probably last question. Yeah, I mean, like, I really dislike Kyrie Irving quite a bit as a person. I dislike Kyrie so much. I really hate that dude. So I was worried about him being traded to the Lakers, because then I'm like, fuck, I'm going to have to root for Kyrie because I got to support LeBron. It's like, I'm almost happy that it didn't happen, that Kyrie didn't go to the Lakers, but I don't know. The Mavs are like my second favorite team at this point, because Luka's my favorite up-and-coming player. LeBron's my favorite player. Luka's my favorite up-and-coming player. So I'm just like, well, now I got to watch Luka and Kyrie. I don't know. And I also don't know if it's going to be that good of a fit, because I don't know, like, is that really what Luka and... I guess Luka just needs another star at the end of the day, and he can make do with whoever. But it's just like they're both like such talented ISO scorers, right? That's their biggest skill set. They're both closers. I feel like it could just, yeah, they could be really good. I don't see them winning the whole thing. But I think that makes them like, a really good chance of making it maybe to the finals or the Western Conference Finals or something like that. I don't know. I got conflicted feelings. Maybe I just ignore everything I felt about Kyrie before this and just accept the way it is. See, you could also say like, well, Kyrie and Kevin Durant, like, isn't that a bad fit then? But like, I feel like KD's always different in that like, he can just do it so effortlessly. You can just throw him the ball and he can take 2 dribbles and take a shot and then he's good. Like, it's almost like I don't count, like, Kyrie and Luka in my mind, like, they need the ball so much. They're going to do 50 moves. Luka, not so much, but like, you know what I mean? Like, they need to go to work, if that makes sense, with the ball and like keep going. Like, eventually, like, with their bag of tricks, they're just going to keep getting to the basket or keep making shots and stuff like that. KD, it's so effortless that it's like, it almost doesn't even count, right? I don't know. It's hard to say. Because it's like Luka's so tricky for me to rate because in my mind, like, Luka, like, it's a crazy duo in terms of like, well, if they really play to their isolation scoring strengths like to the max, like maybe they can just like single-handedly beat down any other team. I just don't like Kyrie, so I don't love the idea. But if it gets the Mavs a championship, then I'll just forget about everything Kyrie's done. To be honest, it's just the way it works in sports. You kind of just get a pass once you win. The last thing I'll say is just that Luka is the trickiest player for me to rate right now because on the one hand, I'm like, I could see an argument for him already verging on being the best player in the NBA, or like at least in that discussion. But at the same time, it's like, what type of player does he really need that complements him best, right, for him to be at his best? I'm like, is it a Kyrie type of player? I don't know. Zen Chen says Luka plays like LeBron, though, and Kyrie and LeBron worked out, though. Here's the difference, which is, look, LeBron's my favorite player, right? So I'm never going to go with the mentality that, like, the narrative that, like, oh, LeBron's not clutch or anything like that. But the reality is that LeBron likes having a player like Kyrie because, like, having somebody, it's not like LeBron isn't a last shot type of player, a last possession type of player, but when it comes to closing, at the end of the day, I think LeBron is perfectly fine with or happy to have a guy like Kyrie that lives for that sort of thing, that really wants to go to work and like thrive in like trying to close out the game or like make difficult shots and stuff like that, right? Like, LeBron's a better scorer overall than Kyrie. He's going to score more points over the course of a game and series, obviously. But like, having a player that you would call quote unquote a closer, I think LeBron likes having that type of a guy on a team. LeBron can play that role really well. We saw it like in the 2018 run where he basically had to close out every difficult series and every game by himself, and he had like buzzer beaters and all sorts of clutch shots and stuff. Like, he can play that role amazingly well, but I think like naturally he's happy to have a guy that does something like that. Luka is the opposite. No, not the opposite. Luka is like LeBron in every sense, right? He controls every possession. He does all the playmaking. He rebounds, etc. He can get you a ton of points, but he also lives for taking those last shots, right? And closing out the game and just like trying to go ISO scoring as much as possible down the stretch and stuff like that, right? Whereas LeBron very often he's good with that, but he's also happy to pass it up to somebody who's got a better shot setup, or to somebody else who, like a Kyrie, that will go to town and just ISO score, right? So that's, like, I think that there's just a difference, you get what I'm saying, in terms of, like, Luka is, like, he plays like LeBron, but he also has the Kyrie mentality when it comes to, like, do I want to close, do I want to take the last shot, right? So that's why I think that there's a bit more of a clash, right? There could be more of a clash, because it's like Luka already fills Kyrie's role, in a sense, right? He already fills Kyrie's role. I feel like Luka needs somebody that fills roles that he doesn't, which isn't the same. The Slit Eye says LeBron is way better on defense than Luka. We don't need to have this debate. LeBron in his prime is better than Luka. There's no question about that. I'm just saying that, like Like, you're talking about, like, style of play, right? Jets fans 051 says, oh, or a big athletic center that can pick and roll. Yeah, I just don't know if, like, Luka's, like, Kyrie fills for LeBron the one thing that LeBron doesn't love doing, even though he's good at it, right? Which is just repeatedly ISO scoring down the stretch and trying to take over to close out a game, right? And trying to hit, like, closeout shots and stuff like that, right? Again, LeBron, good at it. He's just fine not doing that role, and he likes having a guy that he can go to for that, right? That's always been the case. Luka already likes doing that shit. He likes doing the same stuff that Kyrie does. They do it in a similar manner. Very ball dominant, long ISO possessions and stuff like that, where other people are standing around and watching. You know. Anyway, then we're all good. Yeah. Jets fans 051 says LeBron is always looking to pass, Luka not really. Yeah, Luka is very good at passing, but he's not always looking to pass, right? Monkey D says Luka isn't a pass first player like LeBron is. LeBron's not even, I don't even call, like, he's not even pass first. Like, he's like he does what needs to be done for the situation. So lots of times that is pass first, and then other times that's like, he's just going to score. I don't think, like, it's just complicated. Like, I don't think he's more pass first than a lot of these other guys, right? Like, than a Kyrie or a, Kyrie or a Luka or whatever, right? Peanut Butter and Waver says Luka is a way better long-range shooter. Yeah, I mean, Luka is probably a more, I don't know, like, comparing Luka and LeBron, it's, like, to me, it's just, like, too early to even do that. Like, I think Luka right now is better than LeBron, yeah. Comparing Luka to prime LeBron, it's like, that's prime LeBron, right? Like, that's, like, that's prime LeBron, man. Yeah. Remix King says, then what do you think Luka's ideal teammate is? That's the thing. To me, it's really, really challenging because he does pretty much everything you need really, really well, except defense. But pretty much everything you need really, really well. But he just needs the ball so much, right? He just needs the ball so much. So it's like, what does he really, really, really need, right? Someone mentioned like a center. Probably that'd be good. It's just like, yeah, it's hard to say what he really, really needs because it's like he covers everything so well, but he also needs the ball so much. So it's like you put in anybody who does somewhat similar stuff to him. It's like, does that conflict or does that not? Okay, I think we're good. Yeah, probably gonna order from Chipotle instead, I suppose. And I guess besides that, we're all good. Papa Dog Sixer says prime Braun greater than Luka, greater than Braun right now. Yeah. All right, guys.